Another day, another story. Although it may sound like a stale tea-time pastry, the Stone of Scone is an ancient symbol of Scottish sovereignty. According to legend, the sandstone slab was used by the biblical figure Jacob as a pillow when he dreamed of a ladder reaching to heaven and then brought to Scotland by way of Egypt, Spain and Ireland. The rock, also known as the Stone of Destiny, was used for centuries in the coronation ceremonies of Scottish monarchs. Welcome to Tabo Eminent channel. Following his victory at the Battle of Dunbar in 1296, England's King Edward I seized the stone from Scotland's Scone Abbey and had it fitted into the base of a specially crafted wooden coronation chair on which English, and later British, monarchs have been crowned inside London's Westminster Abbey ever since. The Stone of Scone was secretly buried underneath the historic abbey for safekeeping during World War II, and a plan for locating it was sent to the Canadian Prime Minister. German bombs never damaged the stone, but 4 University of Glasgow students who broke into Westminster Abbey on Christmas Eve in 1950 did. The nearly 400-pound Stone of Scone split in two as the Scottish nationalists dislodged it from the Coronation Chair and brought it back to Scotland in the trunk of a car. 4 months after its disappearance, the repaired stone was discovered draped in a Scottish national flag on the high altar of the ruined Arbroath Abbey. No charges were ever brought against the students, and the stone was returned to Westminster Abbey. 700 years after King Edward I removed the Stone of Scone from Scottish soil, British Prime Minister John Major unexpectedly announced its return, which occurred on November 15, 1996. It now resides in Edinburgh Castle but will be made available for future coronation ceremonies at Westminster Abbey. Rumours persist in Scotland, however, that the rock taken by King Edward I was a replica and that the monks at Scone Abbey hid the actual stone in a river or buried it for safekeeping. The Stone of Scone, also known as the Stone of Destiny, is a symbol of the monarchy in the United Kingdom. It is a block of sandstone that historically played a significant role in the coronation ceremonies of Scottish and, later, English monarchs. The stone is believed to have been used for centuries in the coronation ceremonies of Scottish kings and queens, and it was later seized by Edward I of England in 1296 during his invasion of Scotland. Since then, it has been kept under the Coronation Chair in Westminster Abbey in London. Many English and later British monarchs have been crowned while sitting on the Stone of Scone. In 1996, the stone was returned to Scotland on the understanding that it would be brought back to England for use in future coronations. The Stone of Scone is a symbol of the historical ties between the kingdoms of England and Scotland within the United Kingdom. The Stone of Scone has a long and fascinating history. It is believed to have originated in Scotland and was possibly used in the coronation ceremonies of Scottish kings as far back as the 9th century. The stone is associated with various legends, including the idea that it was the biblical Jacob's pillow, brought to Scotland by Princess Skoda, the daughter of an Egyptian pharaoh, and that it had mystical powers. In 1296, Edward I of England invaded Scotland and seized the Stone of Scone, taking it to Westminster Abbey in London. From that point onward, the stone became an integral part of English and later British coronation ceremonies. It was placed under the Coronation Chair, a throne specially constructed for the purpose of coronations. Over the centuries, there were various attempts to return the Stone of Scone to Scotland. One notable incident occurred on Christmas Day in 1950 when 4 Scottish students, known as the Stone of Destiny thieves, successfully took the stone from Westminster Abbey. The stone was later recovered, and its removal sparked discussions about its rightful place and the nature of the relationship between England and Scotland. Would you like me to create a video similar to this one? Please feel free to leave a comment if you have any specific preferences or requests for content. Your feedback is important, and I'm here to tailor the content to your interests. Thank you for watching. In 1996, after much debate and negotiation, the British government decided to return the Stone of Scone to Scotland. It was agreed that the stone would be kept in Edinburgh Castle when not in use for coronations, and it would be brought back to England for such ceremonies. The return of the stone was seen as a symbolic gesture towards Scottish national identity and autonomy. The Stone of Scone remains an important symbol of the historical ties between England and Scotland, and its story reflects the complex and intertwined history of the two nations within the United Kingdom. Legend and origin. The stone is often linked to various legends and myths. One popular legend is that it is the Lia Fáil, the Stone of Destiny from Irish mythology, and was brought to Scotland by the prophet Jeremiah or the biblical Princess Skoda. Scottish coronations. The stone is said to have been used in the coronation of Scottish kings at the ancient site of Scone Abbey. It was an essential part of the Scottish coronation ceremony, symbolizing the link between the monarch and the land. Edward I and the seizure. In 1296, Edward I of England invaded Scotland and captured the stone as spoils of war. He brought it to Westminster Abbey, where it became a significant part of English coronation ceremonies. Attempts to reclaim. Throughout history, there were several attempts by Scottish nationalists and individuals to reclaim the stone. These attempts, often rooted in a desire for Scottish independence, included raids, protests, and discussions about returning the stone to its place of origin. Stone of Destiny heist, 1950. One of the most famous events related to the stone occurred in 1950 when a group of 4 Scottish students, Ian Hamilton, Kay Matheson, Gavin Vernon, and Alan Stewart, stole the stone from Westminster Abbey. They took it to Scotland, where it remained hidden for several months. The stone was eventually recovered, and the incident brought attention to the symbolic importance of the stone in Scottish identity. Return to Scotland, 1996. After years of discussions and negotiations, the British government decided to return the stone to Scotland in 1996. It was agreed that the stone would be kept in Edinburgh Castle when not in use for coronations, symbolizing a recognition of Scotland's distinct identity within the United Kingdom. Symbol of unity and tradition. Today, the Stone of Scone remains a symbol of the historical ties between England and Scotland. It represents continuity, tradition, and the shared history of the United Kingdom. The Stone of Scone's journey reflects the complex relationship between the two nations and the evolving nature of their historical and political connections. Crowning of English monarchs. After being seized by Edward I, the Stone of Scone became an integral part of English coronations. Numerous English monarchs, including famous figures like Henry VIII, were crowned while sitting on the stone. Coronation Chair. To house the stone during coronations, a special chair was constructed, known as the Coronation Chair or King Edward's Chair. This chair, made in 1300-1301, has a wooden frame with panels of Purbeck marble, and it incorporates the Stone of Scone as its seat. The chair is kept in Westminster Abbey when not in use. Damage and restoration. Throughout its history, the Stone of Scone has suffered damage. During the English Civil War in the 17th century, Oliver Cromwell's forces reportedly mishandled it. In 1950, when the stone was stolen by the Scottish students, it was damaged, and repairs were necessary upon its return. Jacobite connection. The Stone of Scone has a connection to the Jacobite cause. In 1715 and 1745, during the Jacobite uprisings, there were hopes of using the stone to legitimize the claims of the Stuart pretenders to the throne of England. However, these attempts were unsuccessful. Symbol of union. The stone has been seen as a symbol of the union between England and Scotland. Its presence in English coronations emphasized the shared monarchy between the two nations, even as debates about Scottish independence persisted. Modern significance. The return of the stone to Scotland in 1996 was a historic moment. It was agreed that the stone would be kept in Edinburgh Castle when not in use for coronations. This move was seen as a gesture towards recognizing Scotland's distinct identity and a symbolic step in the evolving nature of the United Kingdom. Usage in recent coronations. The Stone of Scone was last used in a coronation ceremony in 1953 during the crowning of Queen Elizabeth II. While it is traditionally associated with the coronation of monarchs, the actual ceremony doesn't require the physical presence of the stone. Repatriation discussions. The discussions about repatriating the stone to Scotland were ongoing for many years before its actual return in 1996. Various individuals and groups, particularly in Scotland, advocated for the return of the stone to its place of origin, seeing it as a matter of national pride and identity. Reactions to the return. The return of the stone to Scotland was met with a mix of emotions. While it was a historic moment symbolizing a degree of autonomy for Scotland, there were also concerns and debates about the logistics of its return and its significance in modern times. The Coronation Stone, Lia Fale, in Scotland. While the Stone of Scone is often associated with Scottish coronations, there is a separate ancient stone in Scotland known as the Stone of Scone, or the Stone of Destiny, which has its own historical and mythological significance. It was traditionally used for the coronation of Scottish kings at the Moot Hill in Scone. Legacy of Scottish independence movements. The Stone of Scone has been invoked in discussions about Scottish independence. Its return to Scotland was seen by some as a symbolic recognition of Scotland's distinct identity within the United Kingdom. The stone is often cited in debates about national sovereignty and self-determination. Historical disputes. The stone has been a point of contention and debate throughout history. The Scottish Wars of Independence, the Jacobite uprisings, and other historical conflicts have involved debates and actions surrounding the stone. Its symbolic value often transcends its physical properties. Mythical connections. The Stone of Scone is sometimes linked to mythical and legendary stories, adding an element of mystique to its history. These stories contribute to the stone's significance as more than just a physical object but as a symbol with deep cultural and historical roots. Educational and tourist attraction. Today, the Stone of Scone is on display in Edinburgh Castle when not in use for coronations. It has become a cultural and historical artifact, drawing tourists and visitors interested in its rich history and the stories associated with it. Symbol of British monarchy. Despite its return to Scotland, the Stone of Scone remains a part of the British monarchy's regalia. Its use in coronations, though not strictly necessary, underscores the continuity and tradition of the monarchy. The Stone of Scone's story is multifaceted, encompassing legends, politics, national identity, and the evolving dynamics between England and Scotland. Its journey is a reflection of the intertwined history and complex relationships within the United Kingdom. The Stone of Scone's story is rich in symbolism, politics, and tradition. Its journey reflects the complex interplay of history and identity within the United Kingdom. Thanks for watching. Request you to subscribe the channel.